Deborah sat on the edge of her worn-out couch, staring at the old flip phone in her trembling hands. The screen was cracked, the buttons faded from years of use, but to her, it was a lifeline, a fragile thread tying her to Hank, her husband of 20 years. Hank had been her everything, her high school sweetheart, her partner in late-night laughter, her rock through life's storms. His goofy grin could light up any room, and his silly voicemails, left just to make her smile, were treasures she'd saved like precious jewels. But now, Hank was gone. A sudden heart attack had stolen him away 6 months ago, leaving Deborah in a world that felt too quiet, too empty. The only sound that kept her grounded was the one voicemail she played every night before bed, the one where Hank's voice, warm and teasing, said, "Hey, my love, just reminding you to pick up some ice cream, a broken bar, and maybe sneak a kiss when you get home. You're my forever, Deb." She'd laugh through her tears at his playful tone, clinging to those 30 seconds like they could bring him back. That phone, that message, was her anchor in a sea of grief. But yesterday, everything changed. Deborah had finally upgraded her phone, pressured by her daughter, Lily, who insisted the old flip phone was ancient and unreliable. The switch was supposed to be simply a quick trip to the local carrier store, a new smartphone, and a promise that all her data would transfer. Deborah had been clear, "Make sure you save my voicemails. The broken bar important." The young clerk, distracted by a buzzing store, nodded absently and promised it would be fine. But when Deborah got home and opened her new phone, her heart sank. The voicemail was gone. She scrolled frantically through the menus, her fingers shaking, but the app was empty. No Hank, no silly message about ice cream and kisses, just silence. She called the carrier in a panic, her voice breaking as she explained, but the response was cold. "Ma'am, we don't store voicemails after a transfer." "I'm sorry." Sorry? That word felt like a slap. They didn't understand. This wasn't just a voicemail, it was Hank's laugh, his love, the last piece of him she could hold onto. Deborah barely slept that night. She sat at her kitchen table, the new phone mocking her with its sleek, useless screen. Memories of Hank flooded her mind, their first date at a county fair, where he won her stuffed bear, the way he'd sing off-key to their favorite song in the car, the quiet moments when he'd hold her hand and say, "We're gonna be old and great together." Deb, now, at 42, she was alone, and even his voice had slipped away. She tried to recall the exact cadence of his words, the way he'd draw out "my love" with the playful lilt, but her memory felt fuzzy, like a radio losing signal. The loss was unbearable, a second death that cut deeper than the first. By morning, her eyes were red from crying, and Lily, just 16, found her curled up on the couch, clutching the old flip phone like it might magically bring the message back. Lily, wise beyond her years, suggested posting on social media. "Mom, people help with stuff like this online. Maybe someone knows how to fix it." Deborah wasn't convinced as she barely used Facebook, but desperation pushed her to try. With Lily's help, she typed a post, "I lost my husband 6 months ago." His voicemail was all I had left of him, but it's gone after switching phones. "If anyone knows how to recover it, please help. It's all I have." She attached a blurry photo of her and Hank, smiling at a beach sunset, his arm around her. The post felt like a shout into the void, but she hit share and waited, her heart heavy with doubt. Within hours, though, something incredible happened. Friends shared the post, then strangers. Comments poured in, some offering tech tips, others sharing their own stories of loss. "I lost my mom's voice too," one wrote. "Don't give up." Another sent a link to data recovery services, but none panned out. Still, the support was a flicker of warmth in Deborah's cold world. By the next day, the post had spread to local community groups, then beyond. A woman named Sarah, who worked at a tech repair shop in town, saw it and felt a pang in her chest. Sarah had lost her brother years ago and knew the ache of clinging to memories. She messaged Deborah, "I might know someone who can help. Can you bring the old phone to my shop?" Deborah, skeptical but clinging to hope, drove across town with Lily. Sarah examined the flip phone, its battery long dead, and explained that recovering deleted voicemails was a long shot, especially from such an old device. But she promised to try, calling in a favor from a friend at the phone carrier's corporate office. Deborah left the shop with a mix of fear and fragile hope, her heart whispering, "Please, let this work." She didn't know it yet, but that little post, born of desperation, was about to spark a chain of kindness that would change everything. As days passed, Deborah checked her phone obsessively, hoping for news. She and Lily would sit together, scrolling through the comments on her post, now shared thousands of times. People she'd never met were rooting for her, praying for her, sending virtual hugs. It was overwhelming, this outpouring of love from strangers, and it made her feel less alone. She'd read their messages aloud to Lily, her voice cracking. "Keep fighting, Deborah. You deserve this." For the first time since Hank's death, she felt a spark of connection, a reminder that the world wasn't as cold as it seemed. But the waiting was agony. What if the voicemail was truly gone? What if she'd never hear Hank's voice again? The thought was too much to bear, and yet, somewhere deep inside, a tiny voice told her to hold on. Little did she know, a stranger halfway across the country was about to turn her despair into a miracle. Chapter 2, A Voice Found, A Heart Healed. 1,500 words. In a small office in Atlanta, a tech specialist named Marcus was staring at his computer screen, puzzled by an unusual request. His colleague, a friend of Sarah's from the repair shop, had forwarded Deborah's story, along with the old flip phone's details. Marcus worked in the carrier's data recovery department, a job that usually involved restoring corporate files or fixing billing errors. But this was different. The email included a screenshot of Deborah's Facebook post, her words raw with grief. "It's all I have." Marcus, a father of two who'd lost his own dad years ago, felt a lump in his throat. He remembered saving a birthday voicemail from his father, playing it when the pain of loss felt too heavy. He couldn't imagine that being taken away. So, instead of clocking out at 5, Marcus stayed late, diving into the carrier's ancient servers to hunt for Deborah's lost voicemail. The task was daunting. Voicemails from old devices weren't typically archived, especially not from a phone as outdated as Deborah. But Marcus was determined. He sifted through digital archives, cross-referencing her account number and phone records. Hours turned into days, and he enlisted a small team of colleagues who'd been moved by Deborah's story. They worked after hours, fueled by coffee and a shared sense of purpose. One night, deep in the server logs, Marcus found a glimmer of hope, a backup file from Deborah's old phone, time-stamped just before the transfer. His heart raced as he opened it, praying it held what she needed. There it was, a 30-second audio clip, labeled with her number. He played it, and a man's voice filled his headphones. "Hey, my love, just reminding you to pick up some ice cream at Broken Bar and maybe sneak a kiss when you get home. You're my forever, Deb." Marcus smiled, tears stinging his eyes. He'd found it. Back in Deborah's small town, Sarah called with the news. "We've got something," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. Deborah rushed to the shop, Lily by her side, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. Sarah handed her a USB drive, explaining that Marcus had recovered the voicemail and sent it over. Deborah's hands shook as she plugged it onto her laptop, Lily squeezing her shoulder. The room fell silent as she hit play. Hank's voice poured out, warm and familiar, like a hug from the past. "Hey, my love, you're Broken Bar." Deborah broke down, sobbing and laughing at once, as Lily hugged her tight. It was him, his silly tone, his love, his everything. For those 30 seconds, Hank was alive again, filling the room with his presence. Sarah, watching quietly, wiped away her own tears. "We got it back for you," she whispered. The story didn't end there. Deborah's Facebook post, now viral with tens of thousands of shares, had inspired a wave of kindness. Strangers sent messages of support, some sharing their own stories of holding on to loved ones' voices. A local news station picked up the story, interviewing Deborah and Sarah about the power of community and technology. Marcus flew in from Atlanta, meeting Deborah in person. When she hugged him, tears streaming down her face, she said, "You gave me my husband back." Marcus, usually reserved, choked up and replied, "I just did what anyone would." But to Deborah, It was everything. She started a small online group for others who'd lost loved ones, encouraging them to save voicemails and share memories. It became a space of healing, connecting thousands who found solace in shared grief. Deborah and Lily began to heal, too. They'd listen to Hank's voicemail together, sometimes laughing at his goofy tone, sometimes crying, but always feeling closer to him. The old flip phone, now retired, sat on a shelf beside a photo of Hank and Deborah at their wedding, a reminder of love's endurance. Deborah felt a new purpose, inspired by the strangers who'd rallied for her. She started volunteering at a local grief support group, sharing her story to help others find light in their darkness. The voicemail, once a private treasure, became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in loss, love could be preserved, and kindness could bridge the gaps between strangers. As the weeks passed, Deborah's story continued to spread, touching hearts across the country. People posted videos of their own saved voicemails, tagging her group with #VoicesOfLove. The movement grew, with tech companies offering free data recovery workshops for grieving families. Marcus and Sarah stayed in touch with Deborah, becoming unlikely friends bound by a single act of compassion. For Deborah, the voicemail was more than a memory, it was a lifeline that pulled her back from despair, a testament to the power of human connection. She'd never forget Hank, and now, thanks to a stranger's kindness, she'd never lose his voice. Closing call to action, 20-30 seconds for video delivery, visual, a montage of Deborah smiling with Lily, the phone on their shelf, and messages from supporters, with uplifting music. Deborah's story shows us that even in our darkest moments, kindness can bring back the light. Have you ever had a stranger change your life? Share in the comments below. We read every one. Hit that like button if this story touched your heart, and subscribe to our channel for more heart-touching stories every week. Let's keep spreading love and hope together.